Hi friends, good evening. Welcome everyone for today's session on set-off and carry forward of losses. In our earlier webinars, we have done uh, webinar on various heads of income. Again, on we have touched upon deductions as well as exemptions. So, thought we'll cover this topic as well as it holds practical relevance. Before starting, would like to acknowledge the effort of Subhash in getting this presentation done. Legends use pretty similar to what we have seen before. AY, IFHP stands for income from house property. PY stands for previous year. LTCG long-term capital gains. LTCL long-term capital loss. The schema for the evening, the concept, what exactly is meaning of set off and carry forward, inter-source set off, inter-head set off, carry forward and set off of losses in terms of house property income, business loss, speculation business, specified business, under the head capital gains, specified sources under income from IFOs, that is income from other sources, with the maintenance and operation or maintenance of resources, carry forward and set off in case of business reorganization, be it amalgamation, demerger, succession, etc., and return of losses, when what return needs to be filed and whether it is mandatory. Concept of set off and carry forward, adjustment of loss against profits from another source head of income in the same way. That is what is the meaning of set off. So you have an income in your hand and loss in another hand, you can set off. Carry forward, if a loss exceeds income in that particular AY, it can be carry forward to subsequent AY, then adjust in subsequent years profit and or the income as the case may be. Chapter 6 of the Income Tax Act contains provisions relating to inter-head, inter-source set-off, which is governed by Section 70 and 71. Carry forward and set-off, which is governed by Section 71B, 72, 73, 73A, 74, 74A. Carry forward and set-off in case of specified and special cases, Section 72A, 72AA, 72AB, 78 and 79. Return of losses, which getting governed by Section 80. Inter-source and inter-head set off. First, we'll focus on inter-source. So you have two businesses. One, as I said, one business has loss and another has income. So both can be set off against each other. However, there are exceptions. Long-term capital loss can be set up only against long-term capital gains and not against short-term capital gains. So short-term capital being again a capital gains, still it cannot be used to offset long-term capital loss in speculation business, like say speculation income from shares or derivative transactions, can be set up only against profit of another speculation business and not against any other business. So if you have a normal business, you cannot offset the profits of that of normal business cannot be used to offset loss of specific speculation business. Loss from activity of owning and maintaining resources, again it falls under the head IFOs, but you cannot offset that against other income except for income from the same source, that is activity of owning and maintaining resources. Loss from specified business, that is getting governed by Section 35 AD, can be offset against only against the income from specified business, so like warehousing, logistics, affordable housing. If those are specified business mentioned in 35 AD, if you have loss, that can be set off only against profit of such specified business. After inter-source, there comes inter-head adjustment of loss and profit. So for example, if you have loss from hotel business, normal business, not a speculation or a specified business, that can be offset against income from house property. Loss from IFHP, that is income from house property, can be offset against income from capital gains. However, in this scenario as well, there are exceptions. PGBP loss cannot be offset against income from salary. It's a universal phenomenon. Loss under the head capital gains cannot be used against, cannot be set off against income from any other head. Loss under the head IFHP can be set off against income from any other head only to the extent of rupees 2 lakh. We'll see what exactly this means in the subsequent slide. Loss from specified business, loss from IFHP, PGBP, capital gains, and activity of owning and maintaining resources. IFHP, again, any other source without limit or any other head to the extent of rupees 2 lakh. So a 2 lakh limit, friends, is not per head, it is at the overall limit, friends. PGBP, any other source or any other head except for salaries. Loss from speculation or specified businesses can be set off only against similar losses. Capital gains, only against income from capital gains. LTCL to be set off only against LTCG. It cannot be set off against short-term capital gains. Activity of owning and maintaining resource only against income from activity of owning and maintaining resource. It cannot be offset against any other income. So this is a summary for the inter-source and inter-head. So after set off, still there are some loss which is available with you for a particular AY. This can be carry forward and set off in subsequent years. We'll see provisions relating to that. Loss from house property, again it can be set off. So in subsequent years it can be set off only if at all there is income from house property. So again in subsequent years, loss from house property carry forward cannot be adjusted against any other income. Business loss, again same like IFHB, it can be set off only against business income. However, where loss under PGBP cannot be fully set off in the initial AY, or where the SSE has no other heads of income, can be carry forward to 8 AYs after the AY in which the loss was set off. Effect of allowances carried forward with respect to unabsorbed depreciation and capital expenditure and on scientific research shall be given effect only after that loss that is set off under section 72. So under section 72, first there would be set off of loss which was carry forward from earlier year, and then there would be allowability of set off of unabsorbed depreciation or unabsorbed specified expenditure. Loss from discontinued business. So the friends, this is the only scenario, section 72, loss from discontinued business, wherein the loss allowed to be carry forward for more than 8 years. Let's see what the provision says. The loss arising from discontinued business of an industrial undertaking as referred in section 33B, which is relating to rehabilitation allowance, which is re-established over a period of 3 years from the year of discontinuance, shall be carried forward to the AY relevant to the previous year in which the business is so re-established, and it shall be set off against profits and gains, if any, of that business or any other business carried on by him or assessable for that assessment year, and the remaining loss, if any, shall be set off or carry forward for not more than 7 immediately succeeding AYs. So say for example, there is an industrial undertaking, you have a loss from that industrial undertaking, and then thereafter there is a discontinuance of business, but within a period of 3 years you are again reviving that business and you have again restarted that business. For example, the same business or there is another business, whatever loss which was pending with you 3 years back, that would be allowed to be set off, and if not set off in that year of continuance when you started your business, it would be allowed to be carried forward to 7 AYs after that year of when you started the business. No loss other than loss from shall be carried forward under section for more than 8 AYs. As I said, friends, this is the only section where 3 plus 7 you will get almost 10 to 11 years of buffer to set off your loss from discontinuous business. For the purpose of section 33B, industrial undertaking means any undertaking which is mainly engaged in the business of generation or distribution of electricity or any other form of power, in the construction of ships, or in the manufacture or processing of goods, or in mining. So these are the only sectors under which, if there is loss from a discontinued business, provisions are available to set off and carry forward and again reset off for the period of 10 to 11 years. ABC Limited, which is engaged in the business of mining, suffered heavy damage. Just an illustration to make things simple. From floods in financial year 2021, due to which all its extractors were damaged. Plans were made by ABC to revive the business in 21-22, and the business was again revived in. So plan was there in 21-22 financial year, but The business actually got revived in the year financial year 22-23. Since the business was again reached with a period of 3 years from the year of discontinuance, the loss incurred, whatever be the amount of, in the financial year 2021, can be offset against the income, if any, from the same business in the AY 23-24, that is in financial year 22-23. And if something is still pending, it would be allowed to be carried forward to 7 assessment years. So from 2023 to 2024, it would be allowed to be carried forward to 2030-31, as the case may be. Losses in speculation business, like normal business, are allowed only for only to be carried forward for 8 years. Losses in speculation business, after a set off in current year, if something is less, it is allowed for 4 years, and it cannot be set off against any other business in subsequent years as well. A company, so this deeming provision, so for example, if you see, speculative transaction means a transaction in which a contract for the purpose of sale or a commodity, including stocks and shares, is periodically or ultimately settled otherwise than by the actual delivery or transfer of the commodity or scrips, as I said, relating to shares and derivative stocks and shares. Again, where speculative transaction, as per explanation 2 to section 28, when speculative transactions carried on by assessee are of such nature as to constitute a business, that is speculation business, shall be deemed to be distinct and separate from any other business. So speculation business are considered distinct from normal business. However, this deeming provision does not apply to the following companies: a company whose gross total income consists of income mainly and chargeable under the income from house property, capital gains, and income from other sources. A company, the principal business of which is business in trading of shares, business of banking, or granting of loans and advances. So these companies would be exempted from the operation of this explanation. Accordingly, these companies carrying on the business of purchase and sale of shares or other companies, they would not be deemed to be carrying on speculation business. So friends, the deeming fiction, like if at all you are into a business of purchase and sale of shares of other companies, you would be regarded, whatever income you earn would be regarded as speculation business. But these there are exceptions. Business, if a company is in the business of trading in shares, is in the business of banking, granting of loans and advance, if these 3 companies are there, this deeming fiction would not be applicable. Hence, their income, if they are earning from purchase and sale of shares of other companies, that would be regarded as a normal business income and not a speculation business income. Set off and carry forward of losses in speculation business, as I said, it is allowed to be carried forward for 4 AYs as against the 8 AYs for normal business. Carry forward and set off of losses by specified business, friends. As per section 35 AD, what does specified business? Not getting into what are those specified business. There is a list of some around 14 specified businesses under section 35 AD. Carry forward and set off of losses, again same, friends, it is allowed, and carry forward, so it is set off is allowed only against income from specified businesses. If not, it is carry forward to subsequent AYs. Just for an example, income from textile business rupees 30 lakhs, loss from operating warehouse facility, which is again a specified business for storage of agricultural produce, is rupees 25 lakhs. Since loss from specified business cannot be set off against any other source, that is 30 lakh, this loss would be carried forward to subsequent AYs. Losses under the head capital gain set off and carry forward. Capital loss, set off of STCL, that is short term capital loss, can be offset against short term capital gains as well as long term capital gains. Long term capital loss can be set off only against long term capital gains. Balance loss, if any, shall be carried forward to 8 AYs. 74A, losses from certain specified sources falling under the head income from other sources, that is activity of owning and maintaining resources, can be set off only against the income of same nature, same activity. Loss, if any, which is not set off would be carry forward to 4 assessment AYs immediately succeeding the AY in respect of which the loss was computed. An illustration to clear things, friend. Income from activity on owning and maintaining the resource 75,000. Income from textile business 85,000. Brought forward textile business relating to AY 1819 50,000. Brought forward loss from activity of owning and maintaining the resources 96,000. So let us see, friends, what shall be the treatment of losses and how the set off will happen. Income from activity of owning and maintaining the resource 75,000. Loss of 96,000. To the extent of 75,000, it would be set off. Balance 21,000 would be carry forward up to AY 21-22 because it was a loss of AY 17-18, so 4 years from there. Income from textile business 85,000. Textile business loss brought forward 85,000, but it would be offset only to an extent of 50,000. So friends, 50,000 was the loss which was brought forward. So net income would be 35,000. Balance 35,000. That is 85,000 minus 50,000. 35,000 would be eligible to be carried forward up to AY 26-27, 8 years from 1890. Summary, as you can see, friends, the summary of what we have seen or what we have discussed earlier. Carry forward or set off in case of business reorganization, friends. So in case of amalgamation, demerger, succession, what will happen? So section 72 applies in case of amalgamation of a company owning an industrial undertaking or a ship or a hotel with another company, or amalgamation of banking company with a specified bank, or a public sector company engaged in the business of operation or aircrafts. So if there is an amalgamation, friends, say if there is a company which has a loss of AY 1819 and we are in AY 2021. So a loss of 1819, 2 years have passed. Say in 2021, it goes for AY 2021, it goes for amalgamation. So the new company which is getting formed on account of amalgamation, it would be allowed to set off their loss for a fresh period of 8 years. So it is not like the unexpired period, friends. It would be available for fresh period of 8 years. So from 21-22 till another 8 years, that is 29-30. Conditions for carry forward set off of loss. What are the condition which needs to be followed by amalgamating company as well as amalgamated company? Conditions for amalgamating company. Amalgamating company should have been engaged in the business in which the accumulated loss incurred or depreciation remains unabsorbed for 3 or more years. Amalgamating company has held continuously as on the date of amalgamation at least 3/4 of the book value of the fixed assets 2 years prior to the date of amalgamation. For amalgamated company, the one which is the company after, or which is in presence after the amalgamation, should hold at least 3/4 in the book value of fixed assets of the amalgamating company acquired as a result of amalgamation for a minimum period of 5 years. 3/4 of your assets should be held for 5 years. Should continue the business of amalgamating company for at least 5 years. Achieve the level of production of at least 50% of the installed capacity. Amalgamated company shall furnish to the assigning of the certificate in form number 62 as provided in Rule 9C. Carry forward and set off of loss in case of demerger, where loss or unabsorbed depreciation directly relatable to the undertakings transferred to the resulting company. It is allowed to be carried forward and set up in the hands of the resulting company. Where such loss or unabsorbed is not directly relatable, in such a scenario, there would be an apportionment between the demerged company and the resulting company in the same proportion in which the assets have been retained by demerged company and transferred to the resulting company. So the proportion in which the assets are segregated between resulting company and demerged company, in same proportion the loss would be apportioned. Succession of firm by a company as per clause 47(13) or a proprietary concern as per section 47(14), accumulated loss of the respective proprietary concern or firm shall be deemed to be loss or allowance for depreciation of the successor companies. However, there's a long list of conditions mentioned in section 47(13) and 14. If those conditions are not satisfied, then the set off of loss or allowance or depreciation made in any previous year in the hands of successor companies shall be deemed to be the income of the company chargeable to tax in the year in which such conditions are not complied with. So the successor company needs to pay tax in case there is any violation happening as per as per the conditions mentioned in section 47(13) and 47(14). Illustration to give a clarity: ABC Limited was amalgamated with XYZ Limited on 1/4/19. All the conditions of section 2(1)(b) were satisfied, which we have seen. ABC Limited has the following carry forward losses as assessed till assessment in 1920. Speculative loss 4 lakh. Unabsorbed depreciation 18. This is as of AY 1920, friends. Unabsorbed expenditure of capital nature of scientific research 2 lakh rupees. Business loss of 120 lakhs. XYZ Limited has computed a profit of 140 lakhs for the financial year 1920. The above profits of XYZ Limited includes speculative profit of 10 lakhs. So out of 140, 10 lakhs is speculative profit. Compute the total income of XYZ Limited for the assessment year 2021. Indicate the issues, other allowances to be carried forward. The solution for this: business income before setting brought forward losses of ABC. ABC Limited got amalgamated with XYZ Limited. So what was the business income of XYZ Limited before setting off a brought forward losses of ABC Limited? It is 140. Set off a brought forward business loss of ABC Limited would be 120. So first preference would be given to brought forward business loss, that is 120. Set off of unabsorbed depreciation would be 18. Set off of unabsorbed capital expenditure would be 2. Total income 0. As per section 72A, the accumulated loss to be carried forward specifically excludes loss sustained in a specific speculative business. Therefore, speculative loss of 4 lakhs of ABC Limited cannot be carried forward by XYZ Limited. Why? Because, friends, when accumulated loss which needs to be carried forward to subsequent years, that as per section 72A(7), it specifically excludes loss sustained in a speculative business. Section 72(2) provides that where any loss or part thereof unabsorbed under section 32(2), that is unabsorbed depreciation, or section 35(4), that is unabsorbed capital scientific research capital expenditure, is to be carried forward, effect has to be given first to the brought forward business loss under section 72. So there would be precedence of set off of business loss first, and then these unabsorbed depreciation and capital expenditure. There is no restriction under Income Tax Act regarding set off of normal business loss against speculative income. Therefore, normal business loss can be set off against profit of a speculative business. In our example, 140 contained 10 lakh rupees of speculative income. Instead, say for example, in 140, 40 was speculative income, then still 120 would be offset, because restriction is on the speculative loss to be offset. There is no restriction on the speculative income. Hope there is clarity, friends. Carry forward, as I have seen, as we have seen, friends, the section 72AA applies for amalgamation of banking companies, corresponding new banks, and banks with the corresponding new bank under section 9 of the Banking Act, one or more government companies with another government companies. 72AB, provisionally to carry forward and set off of accumulated loss in case of business reorganization of cooperative banks. Condition: if the whole of the amount of such loss or is directly relatable to the undertakings transferred, same like demerger what we have seen, friends. If it is not directly relatable, there would be an apportionment on the basis of net asset value transferred, or which is there with resulting company as well as the demerged company. If A company, this is just an example to provide more clarity. If a cooperative bank is the, just 1 second, friends. Yeah, if A cooperative is a demerged cooperative bank, it's a predecessor, and B cooperative is the resulting company successor, the amount of set of accumulated loss and unabsorbed depreciation allowable to B company would be as under: unabsorbed business loss or a depreciation of A into assets of the undertaking transferred to A divided by assets of A. So assets of undertaking transferred to B divided by assets of A. So this would be the example for offsetting the loss. Conditions to be fulfilled in case of reorganization of cooperative banks, pretty similar to what we have seen earlier, friends. The predecessor cooperative bank should be engaged in the business for 3 or more years. 3/4 of the book value of assets should be held continuously for 2 years. Successor company again should hold 3/4 of the value of books assets transferred for a period of 5 years. Should continue the business for a period of 5 years. Fulfill such as may be prescribed to ensure the revival of business, or to ensure that the business is for genuine business purpose. In a case where the above conditions are not satisfied, the set off of, again same set off which has happened of accumulated loss or unabsorbed depreciation, it shall be regarded as a deemed income in the hands of successor cooperative bank, on which the successor cooperative bank has to pay taxes. Carry forward and set off of laws in case of change in constitution of firm. When there is a change in the constitution of firm, then so much of the loss proportionate to the share of a retired or a deceased partner remaining unabsorbed shall not be allowed. So say, so for example, there is a change, one partner is getting retired, so loss attributable or relevant for that particular person, that shall not be allowed to be carried forward. When a person's capacity of has been succeeded by another person otherwise than by inheritance, then such other person shall not be allowed to carry forward a set of loss of his predecessor against his income. When there is a succession by inheritance, the legal heirs are entitled to set off the business loss of the predecessor. However, unabsorbed depreciation can be carried forward by the firm as well as the succeeding partner. Say now, for example, there is a firm wherein there are 3 partners, A, B, C. There is a death of C, and it has been and there is a business loss of say 9 lakh rupees, and there are 3 partners. There is a death of C. Again, two scenarios. If C is being replaced by D, so in such a scenario, there would be a carry forward of loss only to the extent of 6 lakhs, because 3 lakhs was pertaining to C, who has died. Now, instead of D, there is a legal heir of C who is getting replaced or who is getting admitted in the partnership firm. Entire 9 lakhs would be allowed to be set off or carry forward. Again, section 79, this is very critical, friends. In case of companies wherein any previous year a change in shareholding has taken place, the loss can be carried forward for set off against the income of previous year in which shareholding has changed, only if the following conditions. So in case for any year, if there is a change in shareholding, the loss set off of loss shall be allowed only if the following conditions are satisfied. On the last day of the previous, in case of a closely held company, excluding startups under section 80 ISC, on the last day of the previous year, the shares of the company carrying not less than 51% of the voting power are beneficially held. So year of loss, on that in that year of loss, the last day, whatever was the shareholding pattern, in the year of set off, that shareholding pattern should remain same to the extent of 51%. If that condition is being satisfied, then only set off would be possible. If there is a change, say, which has resulted in change in shareholding to an extent of 55%, so 55% there is a change. So year of loss, on that last day, say the ABC, there was a 33%, 1/3 shareholding was held by all the 3 partners, all the 3 shareholders. Say in year of set off, B and C are not the shareholders of that company anymore. 1/3 gone, so 66% gone. There's a change which is more than or say more than 51%. So we at the end there is only a shareholder which is holding 33%. In such a scenario, there won't be set off available for the company. In case of eligible startup under Section 80IA, on the last day of the previous year, the shares of the company carrying not less than 51%, same condition like previous, or if this is not satisfied, such loss has been incurred during the period of 7 years beginning from the EVA in which such company is incorporated, and all the shareholders of such company who had held shares carrying voting power on the last day on the in which the loss was incurred continue to hold those shares on the last day of such previous year. So in case of eligible startup under Section 80 IAC, I'm not getting into the definition of what is a startup, but in case of startup, if 51% criteria is not being satisfied, such loss, there is another condition. If that is being satisfied, set off will be allowed. Loss which is setting off, if that loss has been incurred during the period of 7 years beginning from the year in which such company is incorporated. So within a period of 7 years from the date of incorporation or from the year of incorporation, if that loss is incurred and all the shareholders of such startup company held shares carrying voting power on the last day of the year on or years in which the loss was incurred, continue to hold those shares on the last day of such previous year. So for startups, the conditions are quite stringent. If you are not satisfying 51%, if you still want to so there is no criteria of 51%. Say for example, ABC, again in a similar example, ABC, again they are shareholders of a startup company. We are satisfying, say we have a loss of third year of incorporation. We satisfy the first condition of such loss being incurred during the period of 7 years, and all the shareholders of such company who had held shares are shareholders. So say for example, ABC were holding one third shares. When you are setting off that loss of third year, ABC still remains the shareholders, but there is DEF who have joined again with the equal shareholding. So now at the end, ABC together hold 50%, which is less than 51%, and DEF hold 50%. Now, if you go by 51% criteria, we are not satisfying that condition, but there is an additional condition which is available for startup. If ABC still remains shareholder of that company again in the year of loss set off, even though that percentage of shareholding goes less than 51%, still the set off of loss shall be allowed. This is what some question given to the startup company. This is the example which we have seen, friends. The exception to Section 79, the conditions for carry forward of loss in case of change in shareholding do not apply in the following cases. So Section 79 conditions will not apply in following scenario: in case there is a change in shareholding due to death of a shareholder or on account of transfer of shares by way of gift to any relative of the shareholder making such gift, any change in the shareholding of an Indian company which is a subsidiary of a foreign company as a result of amalgamation of or demerger of a foreign company, subject to the condition that 51% of shareholders of the amalgamating or demerged foreign company continue to be the shareholders. Say for example, our Indian company is a subsidiary of a foreign company. That foreign company has amalgamated, but still after amalgamation, that holds the new company is holding 51%. That would be allowed. Change in the shareholding pursuant to a resolution plan approved under the insolvency and bankruptcy. The company has gone for insolvency and the plan has been approved by IBC 2016. Again, it will not apply to a company and its subsidiary and the subsidiary of such subsidiary where the tribunal on an application moved by the CG has suspended the board of directors and has appointed new directors, and the change in shareholding of and its subsidiary and the subsidiary of such subsidiary has taken place in a previous year pursuant to a resolution plan approved by the tribunal. So this, friends, there is a company A which has a company B. Again, B has a company C. So this condition of 51% or other conditions which we have seen in Section 17 would not apply if the tribunal has passed the order of suspending all the board of directors of such company and appointed new directors, and second, there is a change in shareholding of this company, these companies, the main company, the holding company, the subsidiary and the sub-subsidiary has taken place in a previous year pursuant to the resolution plan approved. So basis the plan approved by tribunal, if there is change in the shareholding, that is allowable. Otherwise, it won't be allowed. Submission of return, if we want to carry forward loss, be it relating to capital gains or business loss or income from other sources, you need to file your return of income before the due date, that is 139(1). That is, say for example, for individual return filing, it's 31st July. Company return filing, it is 30th of September. If you want to carry forward capital loss, business loss, or income from other sources, you need to file a return of income before the due date. Exception only in case of income from house property. There is no requirement of filing the return of income by the due date. So even if at all you have a loss from income from house property, you file your return of income after the due date, still it would be allowed to be carry forward. Again, one more scenario in this, friends, for return of losses. Again, unabsorbed depreciation and loss from specified business can also be carried forward even if the return of loss is submitted after the due date, as it is not covered under Chapter 6A or set off or carry forward, but covered under Section 32 and 35 AD. So, in case you have unabsorbed depreciation or loss from specified business, so in income from business, an exemption being specified business. So, in case you have a loss from specified business or an unabsorbed depreciation, if you're filing your return of income after the due date, still you would be allowed. So there are three possibilities: income from house property, loss from specified business, and unabsorbed depreciation. If those are allowed, those would be allowed to be carried forward even after the due date of filing the return of income. So these were some of the thoughts, friend, on the set off and carry forward of losses. Would be happy to answer any queries in this regard. Thank you, friends. Have a great evening ahead.